Heath here from pickinglessons.com, the Cordal Jig. This is a great tune. We're in 6/8 time, we're in the key of D, although there's a heavy leaning towards the relative minor, the B minor as well. In this arrangement, we've got two variations. We've got a more basic version up first, and then we've got a more advanced version with some more embellishment in the melody as well. Now, in a moment, we're going to take a look at the basic version of the melody for part A and B here in this video, but if you head over to pickinglessons.com, you can grab yourself a copy of the complete arrangement there with both variations. In the member section, we'll break down the lesson for the variation, so the second variation. You also have a play along and backing tracks there as well. Okay, so let's have a look at part A and B of this basic version of the melody. 6/8 time, we're in a jig, key signature D. Like I mentioned, a heavy leaning towards the B minor too, so it kind of shifts as we go through. We have a few rhythm variations that we need to make sure our right hand is covering appropriately as well. So we'll check all this out. I'll just show you the first couple of bars and we'll have a chat about what's happening here. So first couple of bars. So within these two bars, we have pretty much all our rhythm variations that we need to cover. So the first half of the first measure, that rhythm, we're going to count that as 1, 2, and 3. So we have the dotted eighth into the 16th, then the 8th. Right hand is going to be down, up, down. So hold on to that first note a little bit longer. 1, 2, and 3. Down, up, down. So whenever we have three notes grouped together, it'll always be down, up, down. And what we're going to try and do is keep emphasizing the pulse, which we have two of in a 6/8 time signature, with a downstroke. So as we start the next half of this measure over the A chord, it's a downstroke. This is the quarter note, eighth note rhythms. So we have 4, 5, 6. And so the upstroke there at the end will cover that eighth note. So 4, 5, 6. Putting the first bar together, ready, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. Right hand, down, up, down, down, up. Yeah, we'll come back to this in a moment. Let's look at the second measure along. We have this same rhythm structure to kick us off. Yes, the same approach for the right hand. Down, up, down, 1, 2, and 3. Second half of the measure, we have the eighth note, just the regular old eighth note, so it's 4, 5, 6. Starting with the downstroke again. For each pulse, we're starting on the downstroke, so down, up, down. So the second measure would go and down, up, down, up, down. So each grouping of 3 is always down, up, down, up, down, whether we have the dotted 8th and 16th or not, or just plain 8ths. Just before we move on, that variation with the 1, 2, and 3 rhythm with the dotted 8th, that can be just changed to a regular 8th note pattern. So just as an example, these first couple of bars, I'm going to play just plain old 8th notes when appropriate. So 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so that's okay. So that's a natural variation that we want to play. That would be even more basic than what we've got in this arrangement. But what we've done in here is added in these dotted 8ths and 16ths. So it does change the feel a little bit, gives it a bit more of a lilt perhaps. So this is the way it's transcribed. And this would be if you just play straight 8ths within the 6/8 time signature. Yeah, the way it's transcribed. So it kind of gives it a bit more of a bounce perhaps as well, yeah? So we'll keep that in mind, but if you want to keep them as plain old 8th notes within this time signature, that's okay too. You can switch them out. And it's kind of a natural thing to change between the two as well. So let's move on, measure 3. Yeah, so we're starting to see some repetition in this rhythm already. Yeah. Measure 4. Just remembering as we hit the quarter note 8th note, down, up, down, as we move through. Let's continue on. Second half of this is somewhat similar. Now, the ending, measure 7, measure 8. So there's measure 7. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. Right hand, down, up, down, up, down. So notice as we hit the two downstrokes there in the middle of the measure. So this has been happening, yeah? So down, up, down, up, down. it's to really emphasize the pulse. So that's our mission there. We really want to keep emphasizing that 2-beat pulse in the measure. Last bar is just like the 4th bar. Let's just play this once through, then we're going to move straight on to part B. So just once through, it does repeat though, but we're going to have a once through right now. 4, 5, 6. There we go. I do personally really prefer it with that dotted 8th, 16th sound in those rhythm groupings too, but you can straighten them out, so to speak. Let's move on to part B. So part B is much stronger towards the D chord, perhaps in the harmony here. So you can see that chord progression, D through the A, D through the A, D through the A. The turnaround in the end is like in part A. So part B kicks off on this rhythm variation, which we kind of repeat. Yeah. There's a bit of a theme that will start to develop. Let's just get this first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Down, up, down, up, down. Yeah, just over that D, almost a D arpeggio with a passing note, the E. A chord up next, and the next measure along. Yeah, similar theme. Then we repeat the first measure. 4th measure along. All on the first string. But notice the rhythm structure's been the same each of these measures. We continue this on. Measure 13 in the tablature. This is the same. Now the ending here. Okay, let's work on that one. So we've got from the D running down the scale there on the 2nd string. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, 6. Right hand, down, up, down, up, down. Now the final measure there at the end is just like the final measure in part A. Now let's have a slow play through part B as well. We'll put all that together, and then of course you can go off and practice all this separately. Now part B, 4, 5, 6. As I mentioned, you can ignore the dotted 8th and 16th rhythm variation. I'll play it just once through with the regular old 8th notes. 4, 5, 6. Which is fine, yeah, that's all good. It just sounds cool. I think personally it sounds really, really cool with the held dotted 8th note in that rhythm structure. So when we hear it a bit quicker, yeah, it just sounds, it gives it a little bit extra, yeah, and I think that's really cool for this style. Now, get to know part A, part B. Remember, both of those sections do repeat. Pickandlessons.com, you can grab the complete arrangement, which is the variation we just learned, and then the second variation as well. In the member section, we're going to break down the techniques, which are a little bit more advanced for the next variation along. You'll also have a play along and backing track there, also once you get to know the tune. So pickandlessons.com, I'll see you there.